You know, of all things, I didn't even come up with the idea for this video, but I figured, look, in some degree to celebrate 500 subscribers, which is a bizarre number. Fuck. I don't have complete joy of it yet, only because I'm still only on 496 as of filming, but I figured, look, it's Easter weekend, I've got a head cold, it's almost 2 a.m. It sounds like the right time to film. But look, if this will be for my 500 subscribers, so because I couldn't really think of anything special to do, and I figured this would be an interesting topic to cover. So, firstly, thank you all for 500 subscribers. If you're not subscribed, click that button, I guess. But if you don't like my opinion on this video, then still click that button. I don't fucking know. You do you. Anyway, hi, I'm Telecreations. In this video, I'm going to be discussing what I saw from TikTok, which was a guy asking, millennials what they think is the greatest movie of all time. And given I'm not a millennial, I'm allowed to answer that question. I'm actually younger than a millennial. 98, baby. Anyway, I think I'm Gen Z, which is Gen Z, because I'm Australian, anyway. So I saw this TikTok the other day, which was going through, this guy was asking all these people at I am assuming a college campus, America, and he was asking them what they thought the greatest film ever made was, and there was a good variety of mostly films made post 1969, and I say that as if that's a long time ago. Yeah, sure. But basically, I don't think any of them were actually. There was one that was the earliest date, and then the rest were from the 80s and above, including, I think, at least 2 people mentioned Infinity War. No, actually, I think someone said Endgame, and people were in the comments, "What the fuck? Infinity War's a better movie." It is, but still, that's not the point. The earliest film they mentioned was 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is an interesting choice for a greatest film ever made. Interesting. It's a good film, fantastic film. I wouldn't pin it as the greatest film ever made, but it's definitely up there. It just lacks in certain areas, but at the end of the day, this is all subjective. So obviously, comment down below what you think your greatest film of all time is, because realistically, you look at the polls, you look at IMDb and whatever the fuck, and most critics' choices will either be Godfather 1 or 2, or Citizen Kane, and it's great. I don't really want to watch them again anytime soon, but I mean, to be fair, I haven't watched them for a fair few years. I should rewatch them, especially Godfather. The 4K set, I gotta get that shit. Fuck, they're both on 4K now. What am I talking about? Anyway, I wanted to talk about what I think is the greatest film ever made. And I took this into consideration for a couple of hours, then discussed with my friends who, doing it on the spot, not a great idea. I mean, I thought the same thing. I'm thinking to myself, fuck, why can't I just think of a greatest film ever made on the spot? But at the same time, the same person was making videos asking people what their favorite movie scene was, and there was only one person who was I can't decide right now, come back later. And I'm that's fair enough. How can people just fucking rip this shit from their goddamn noggin? Yep, that's my scene, that's the one. So I'm going to start with that one, because of all things, my favorite scene in the movie is the exact same movie that I think is the greatest film ever made. Yeah. I have variety in my life. Nevertheless, I was looking at my top 10 favorites on Letterboxd, which isn't a top 10 list. There's 22 films on that list currently. Always changing, but I haven't updated it in months, so who really cares? And so I'm looking at it, I'm there are so many good films on this list. My favorite film of all time is Blade Runner 2049. But that's not what I think is the greatest film. And even then, I'm looking at what my favorite scene of that film is, and it's when Joy, Kay is on the bridge, and it's the iconic image of the giant pink woman, Joy, telling Kay, you look like a good Joe, and it's he realizes he's fucking worthless because he's been dating a hologram and he's a fucking robot. He's literally a construct. He serves one purpose, and that's nothing to give in him a soul. And like, but then you get the flashbacks, which I don't exactly like, but it does bleed the point in that like this is him thinking back on what he just experienced, and them saying the only way, the thing that makes us human is like, doing something for another person can't do, like all that stuff. Really giving you some moral, and he's like, fuck, all right, what if I go and save Deckard and bring him to his daughter? And I'm like, that's something. That'll give me a soul. That'll give me purpose. Character development. It's a good journey. I love it. Favorite scene in the movie. Not my favorite scene ever made. But that was up there. I'm like, fuck, I love that scene. And so then I look at basically, I think, top 3 favorite scenes. I think. It's hard to say. There were a lot of great scenes in movie history. And in this case, I was looking at my top 10 list, and in my number 3 spot was probably Swiss Army Man. And that one I was really considering as my favorite greatest film of all time. To be fair, fucking banger. My favorite scene of that movie, of all things, is like when it's at the start of the movie, when Paul Dano's character realizes that, this corpse of Daniel Radcliffe can fart a lot, and it's become a jet ski, and he gets on it and he starts singing, and like the music starts blaring up, and they're riding on a jet. He's running Daniel Radcliffe like a jet ski, and then like the title credits come up. And then he falls off. It's great. I love it. It's just like warms my heart every time I watch it. I love it. Still not what I think the greatest film is. Then my number 2 choice was like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, where of all scenes, again, the same thing. It's literally the exact same type of scene. It's when Knives first meets the band, Sex Bomb, and she sits down, and Scott introduces a song, and Kim just is like, "We are Sex Bomb," and gets the fuck into it, and then they just start jamming out, and she's like, "Holy shit!" And then the camera's like zooming away from them, and starts bringing in like the credits and everything, and I love it. I love the song. I love the scene. I love the opening credits. I'm just like, fuck yeah, that's like that's what I could wake up to every morning, just that. I have the song on my phone. I have the whole fucking list. I bought the CD. So, I could do that. I even have the soundtrack for goddamn Swiss Army Man and Blade Runner 2049. And this film, that is my favorite. That is my top 10, my top greatest movie of all time that I've currently thought of at this point of time. I'll give you some subtle hints. See if you can guess it. It doesn't really matter if you can't. It's not of this century, which stumped a few people I know. It's an 80s film. It's a horror film. And the first thing my dad thought of, John Carpenter's The Thing. I love it. It's a perfect movie. I mean, there's a lot of perfect movies out there. You got shit like Alien. You got like Lawrence of Arabia. There are so many fucking good movies out there. And now at the same time, the greatest film of all time doesn't have to be a perfect movie. It's a completely subjective thing, but at the same time, usually what's considered the greatest film of all time usually has some kind of cinematic input, or does something new to cinematic language, especially with Citizen Kane, or critics will like jizz all over the movie consistently. Usually, literally. For me, it's The Thing. It's a film I can always rewatch. I watched it like last year when I got the 4K. I watched it like 2 months ago when I had just introduced like my girlfriend to like 2 Batman films. And no, wait, Batman 89. The next day was Batman Returns. And my friends started watching The Thing on Discord. on Stan, and I'm like, I'm joining in. So I joined in on Discord on my phone and watched it on my phone with them until my laptop turned on. And then while my girlfriend was sleeping, I was watching The Thing with Guy and Bill. Bill had never seen it before. Guy obviously had. And Bill was like, this shit's insane. What the fuck is happening? Like, I love it. But my favourite scene, now, Guy argues the best scene in the film is, which is actually what my figurine of MacReady is from, is where they do the blood test. Great scene. My favourite scene is actually in between. And it's a weird thing to say because they bring up the idea of the blood test, but then they go looking for the blood bags. Oh no, blood bags gone. And then MacReady goes outside with some other dudes. And then, it gets kind of dark and the lights go out. And it's like, fuck, what's going on? And then everyone gets back inside except for MacReady. But then he breaks in, he's got TNT. And then he's like, great. And then the big dude has a heart attack. And they're like, fuck, we got to get this guy on the operating table and give him back to life. And it's the defibrillator scene. It's an iconic scene. It's a classic. It's terrifying. It's such a beautiful scene from the minute he plugs the guy with the defibrillator and it doesn't work. And it's like, shit, we got to do it again. Zaps it up, plugs him, and the whole belly goes and eats his arms. But that's not even my favourite part of it. But the scene goes so quickly that it's like, hey, shit, his belly just opened up and now he's eating the guy's arms. And the other guy's going like, oh, fuck, my arms. Like, imagine my arms aren't here, so he's just got stumps. Ah, fuck, my arms, they're gone. And then the head of the dude, who's the thing, tears itself off like it's nobody's business and just fucks off to the corner while it turns into a head crab. Meanwhile, MacReady's going insane. This flamethrower ain't working. Everyone's going insane. This guy's turning into the thing. The thing is just chaos. Absolute chaos. Practical horror to its absolute nth degree. I love it. And once they take care of that, holy shit, once they take care of that, they're like, they blow, like they wait for the fire to burn for a second, they blow it all out with the exhaust, and they're like, good, it's done. Then they check, they're looking at the body, the other guy turns around, because he realizes there's something else moving in this room, and it's the head crab, which has now grown arms and grown eyes, and has walked out of the room into the hallway. He turns around, he's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I love the line. I even love when people quote it in other movies. Even if it's not a reference to the thing, I love it no matter what. Because it's such a generic line. But just the circumstances and the delivery, and then everyone turning around and being like, fuck this, and torch the motherfucker. What a great practical creature to make. And then to burn it and it to go, aha! I love it. The Thing is a perfect movie. And honestly, despite even the only inconsistency being the stop motion at the end, and do we really need the creature to be, like the Thing to be an amalgamation of all the things that it's kind of turned into? It's like, sure, why not? Because if all the individual things didn't scare the crap out of MacReady, how about a giant amalgamation that's literally sucked the face off of his friends and shit and eaten them? And then he's got to face that, and he's just like, yeah, fuck that, I'm blowing this shit up and getting out of here. So, yeah. I did just spoil the movie, but I don't care. It's like 40 years old. 40 years old? Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. No, of all things, that's my consideration for the greatest film ever made. And there are so many great films. Because, I mean, even one of the people mentioned in the video, Parasite. Another perfect movie. There are so many films that, and this is a thing that for me could change. Like, The Thing probably is my favorite film, but like, even right now I'm going through a Creature from the Black Lagoon Renaissance. And I say that just as I don't know, I've watched it once this year, and I'm going to watch it hopefully in 3D in May, because I want to watch it in 3D. I should book my tickets for that. I've been waiting 2 years for that, because pandemic hit just as it was about to be reshown, but in 3D, which is so hard to see that movie in 3D, and I will really regret it if I don't get around to it. Nevertheless, Yeah, The Thing is an absolute beauty of a movie. I would genuinely recommend it to anyone, even if you don't like horror. But, at the same time, there are people who maybe they don't like horror, so they've got a completely different film. Maybe you've got more of a modern audience who don't really watch those kind of films, or they are so addicted to the MCU and the superhero genre that, maybe their favorite film is something like Avengers Endgame, and their favorite movie scene is when all the Spider-Man get together in No Way Home. At the same time, it's whatever makes you feel happy. It's whatever makes you go, wow, and holy shit. That's why a lot of modern movies, like a lot of movies that have come out in the past 10 years, sometimes a lot of them don't always, give me that wow factor. But, something like, again, Blade Runner 2049, Swiss Army Man, Scott Pilgrim, all in the last 10 years. Well, Scott Pilgrim's 11 years old this year, but, all within the last 10 years. And cinema continues to evolve and continues to just be absolutely batshit. My current top 4 films of this year is Turning Red, the Pixar film, and this is as of, again, Easter weekend. You've got Jackass Forever, The Batman, and Triple R. RRR. Yeah, we watched that film. It was breathtaking. Absolutely insanity. And these films are all fantastic, There's probably bound to be better films that are going to come out this year. To some degree, you always hope that there is. I've got the Everything Everywhere All at Once that I'm yet to watch. It came out today. Head cold. Can't go out and watch it yet. I have to wait a couple more days. Fucking shit. If I'm healthy by Monday, I'll probably do it then. But God. Yeah. So, look, again, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what if you don't have a greatest film in mind, let me know what your favorite movie is. Genuinely, we don't have to make it a discourse. Just shoot it down below what your favorite movie is, or what your favorite movie scene is. It could be anything. It could be from generic, random mid-2000s comedy to Nosferatu, like the original, or it could even be the remake, the Werner Herzog version. I don't know. Look, you do you. It could be Bridesmaids. It could be Ghostbusters. It could be Star Wars. OG Star Wars, of course. It could be Empire. Who knows? Let me know, please. Fun thing for a discourse, I think, for a little that's cool. And look, if you respond, I will mention if I have watched the film or if I haven't. And then I will watch the film, even if it's not in the genre I like, which I'm not very limited in what I like and dislike. I will probably watch anything, usually. Anyway, yeah, that's all for now. Thank you all so much for watching. Oh, I would mention as well Evil Dead 2, just as a little fun one. I did consider that as a strong, strong contender. That was the only film I considered greatest film potential. And my favourite scene of that film is, of course, when he starts laughing at all the furniture and all starts laughing at him. It's great. But I also love the scene where he makes the chainsaw and cuts the... he says groovy. It's great. I love it. It's a bizarre movie. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully here's to another 500 subscribers. Ciao.